Okay, now we'll take a look at arranging, aligning, and distributing objects. So let's go ahead and select a button by clicking on the button icon here again, and with the Browse for File dialog, we will choose from our gallery. Let's go ahead and choose something different. How about a blue rounded? And we'll press OK and OK. And we'll quickly generate a group of buttons by pressing Control D 5 times. And then I'm just going to drag them out onto my canvas here. I'm going to actually intentionally make sure that they're misaligned so we can demonstrate the alignment function first here. Okay, and I'm going to drag that out here into the middle. Now, there's 3 different ways we're going to look at of aligning these objects. And obviously in this particular scenario, what we want to do is align them like a column along that axis so that they go straight up and down like a column. So we're going to go ahead and select them all by dragging around them. And then we're going to actually go and choose the Align Horizontal function by right-clicking, and then from the Align area, choosing Center Horizontal. And as you can see, there's a shortcut key for that too, of Control-Alt-2. So I'll press that. As you can see, it made it into a nice, neat, straight column. And you can distribute along either axis. So go ahead and experiment with that with various groups of objects multi-selected. They don't have to be the same size, they don't have to be the same type or anything, and you can actually do this with groups as well. We could align groups to other groups or to individual objects or even to the page by selecting the To Page option here from your Align menu. So let's go ahead now and actually let's take a look at that. So we'll select all our objects, we'll activate the Align To Page function, and then again we will select the Align Center Horizontal, and we'll see what happens now. As you can see, it aligned them to the page and along that same axis. So now we've got a neat column and it's aligned directly to the page. Okay, so let's take a look at another way of doing the same thing. I'm going to press Control Z to undo and get back to where we were here. We're going to take a look at the alignment toolbar here that we've made part of our default workspace in the original lesson. Okay, so let's go ahead and press Control A to select them all if you haven't already. And you can see that we have our To Page icon activated here. Let's go ahead and take that off for now. And this time let's align them to the left side. So for example, each left side of each button is going to be lined up with each other. And we'll do that by selecting this icon here, Align Left. In this case, they're all the same size. So basically, choosing Align Center and Align Left will have the same effect. So we click on that icon and you can see they're all aligned together again. Okay? So press Control Z and we'll look at the third way here. And that's under the Object menu, Align. In this case, we'll align them to right. And of course, again, because they're all the same size, it'll appear the same as it did for left or center. So Align Right, and there we go. So that's the Align feature for aligning along an axis. Now, before we move ahead to arranging, let's take a look at distributing these objects. So now we notice that the spacing between the objects is not correct. If we were creating a button bar really quickly, we'd like to be able to align them like that really fast and also be able to distribute them. So we can actually, from the same functions, the Align set of functions, and we'll choose Align, Distribute, Vertical, and that's basically going to space these equally along that axis. So let's go ahead and select that, and you can see it went ahead and it spaced them along that axis equally. So now, for example, in a real-world scenario, we could group these and move them around as a button set. Let's go ahead and ungroup them, and I'm going to press Control Z actually to go back here and get them so they're not distributed properly anymore, and make it a little more obvious. There we go. And we'll look at 2 more ways to distribute. So we'll select these all, and we'll go to the Object menu, and from the Align sub-menu, we will choose Distribute Vertical, and we'll get the same effect. Okay? So there we go. We got that same effect. I think we're out of alignment here, so I'm actually going to choose Align Center Horizontal just to make sure. There we go. And you can see we've got that evenly spaced effect again, and it happened right away. Now, it's important to note that if the amount of pixels in your menu set doesn't work out equally, then of course the last button is going to be out by a pixel or 2. So you can go ahead by hand and adjust it like that to make it perfect. So let's take a look at one more way we can align these, or distribute these, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and move them like that again, and select them all. And we are going to look at the toolbar here. as you can see, there's an icon here that says distribute vertical in the tooltip, and you can see it with the two evenly spaced objects, and we'll choose that and go ahead and press that. As you can see, it goes ahead and spaces them just like it did the first two times. Okay, so there's just one last function we're going to look at in this lesson, and that is, as well, here from the Align menu, when you right click, you can see that there's these Make Same Width, Make Same Height, and Make Same Size options. So we're going to go ahead and delete some of these buttons. I'm going to scale this button up, and I'm going to have this other button and multi-select them. Okay, so we've got these multi-selected as an active group, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose from the Align menu Make Same Height. Now this is where we'll choose Make Same Size. I'm going to click it, and this is where the dominant object comes into play. It's going to match the other object or objects to the dominant object. So for example, if I have a few kind of wonky objects like this laying around on my canvas, and I want to make them all the same size as this object, all I need to do is select them all and make sure that that object is the last one selected, or the dominant object if you like, and then choose that Align Make Size Same Size option, and there it's going to make them the same size. So that's really super handy, especially when you're trying to work fast and work out quick button bars and stuff like that. So for example, just to review what we've looked at so far, we could take a button like that, add it to the stage really quick by dragging it, say, from the gallery. And actually, let's go ahead and do that just to demonstrate. So we could just drag a button out of here. I'm just going to take something random, put it on the stage, press Control D a few times, go ahead and move one of them down so we've got our outermost dimension set, and then go ahead and select the Align and Distribute functions, and if we want to, we could even group that, and boom, we've got an active button bar that's working perfect for our project, ready to go in about 10 seconds. So it's very, very handy stuff. Now the final thing we're going to look at here is the Arrange function, and actually I'm not too fond of that green button, so I'm going to go ahead back here into my button area by clicking that button icon and select something new we haven't seen yet. How about a purple pill-shaped button? Okay, let's go ahead and press OK. That's kind of neat. Now arranging. If we press Control D, you'll notice that there's a stacking order, or a third dimension if you like. We call this the Z order, and that is to say that some objects are on top of other objects, right? And this becomes particularly significant when you're using image objects that have basically transparent effects and whatnot, as well as any place where objects are going to overlap. Okay, this is very powerful stuff, because as your projects become more complex, you can actually stack things in very interesting and complex ways to create very advanced functionality. For example, text input that is actually underneath a screen layer, so it looks like it's part of a video game or something. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this function. Now, if I move these objects in such a way so that you can actually see me moving these other ones, I'm going to go ahead there. That might be easier just to demonstrate this with 3 objects for now. So let's go ahead and make the stack. There we go. And I'm going to move this one here, and as you can see, the one that I have selected is in behind there. And if I want to move that to the front, there's a few different ways I can do that. Let's look at 3 different ways. So the first way we're going to look at is very simple, and that's just to hold down the Control key and use the up and down arrow keys. As you can see, each time I press the up key, it moves it up 1 layer. Okay? And when I press the down key, it moves it down 1 layer. So through the stacking orders like that. And I encourage you to just experiment. I think you'll as soon as you try this out, realize what it is and how it works and why it's important to learn. But the other option there is that if you press Control Shift instead of just Control and use the up and down arrow keys, you actually toggle from front to back. So Control Shift up key brings you to the uppermost layer, or the front, and Control Shift down key brings you to the backmost layer, or to the rear. So that's a very handy function. Now let's take a look at other ways that we can do the same thing. You can go to the Object menu, and from the Arrange menu, sub-menu here, choose the same options. Bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to back. As you can see, our shortcut keys that we just spoke about appear here. So let's go ahead and bring that forward 1 layer. As you can see, it's now in between. Now the next option is to right-click on that object and choose from the Arrange sub-menu the same options. So let's go ahead and bring it to the front. Okay, so hopefully that clears up the matter of arranging objects. So we've learned to align, arrange, and distribute objects, and basically we're really moving along at a good pace here, and I hope everybody's keeping up and feeling a lot more comfortable working with objects. As you can see here, throughout these lessons, basically so far what we've learned to do is manipulate these objects in all 3 dimensions freely, and that's going to add a lot of power to your projects as you build more and more complex projects. So let's go ahead and move on to the next lesson now.